we all, led by the flag for which we stand. Blue for the mind that seeks the good and true, red for a promise of the King, white for the glory of a heart that's pure, bright with an ever-shining flame. Alma mater, we hail, Lord, give the earth and grace success. With truth and love will conquer all. For God, a land and SFS. Alma mater, we hail, Lord, give the earth and grace success. With truth and love will conquer all. For God, a land and SFS. With truth and love, let us unite and be true to our glorious college name. Eye of the King, the beacon light is she, leading her children on to faith. March on to glory is a message told, spread truth and love with far and wide. Loyal to the instruments of guidance, teacher and pupil side by side. Alma mater, we hail, God give the earth and great success. The truth and love will conquer all. For God, our land, let us embrace. Alma mater, we hail, God give the earth and great success. The truth and love will conquer all. For God, our land, and let's
Good morning to one and all present on this forum. This is Sahil Meshram, student of BA final year from SFS College. We, the SFS management and faculty, are indeed happy to host this webinar, Give Your Stress Wings and Let It Fly Away. Let me briefly introduce to you our esteemed institution, St. Francis de Sales College, Nagpur. Our institute, St. Francis de Sales College, was established in year 1956. It is a Christian minority institution managed by Catholic Archdiocese of Nagpur, inspired by teachings and love of Jesus Christ, concerned with holistic development of the student. Our college is government-aided college affiliated to Rashtriya Sant Tukaroji Maharaj Nagpur University and has been accredited with A grade with the CGPA score of 3.23 by NAC Bangalore, an autonomous institution of the University Grant Commission. With the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, many are living with high level of stress. Stress wreaks havoc on one's physical and emotional health. It ultimately affects the ability to think clearly, function effectively, and enjoy life. Through this webinar, we'll try to find solutions so that one can lead a more productive, healthy, and happier life. The sequence of today's program is as follows. First, we have the inaugural speech by the principal of SFS College, respected Dr. K.T. Thomas sir, followed by an enlightening talk on stress to strength by our today's resource person. After that, respected Dr. Susan John ma'am will deliver her talk on topic overcome stress and lead a happy and prosperous life and will give concluding remarks. I'm sure we are going to have a great session this morning. I request you all to stay tuned till the end. You can post your queries and questions in Google Meet chat box, which will be answered by the resource person after completion of his talk. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to invite our beloved principal, Dr. K.T. Thomas sir, to inaugurate the webinar by delivering his address. Over to
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
Sahil.
Yeah.
Good morning. I am very delighted to welcome each one of you for this webinar on Give Your Stress Wings and Let It Fly Away. I am overjoyed to see the number of participants in this webinar. I personally know the stress that students undergo in today's day and age. With advancement in technology and science, students undergo more pressure than what we went through in our time. There is a need for students to keep up their parents' expectations. Students are subject to peer pressure when they are in school and college. Now, the COVID pandemic is also added their problems for attending online classes and the issue related to network and other learning problems. This causes unwanted stress in the minds of students. Participants, please switch off your mic. Organizers, organizers, please remove the persons who are making disturbance while this webinar is going on. So identify the persons and remove them immediately.
Sir,
We have taken this initiative so that students can learn to take every experience in their stride. They don't have to be victims of stress. Instead, in this webinar, they will learn to cope with pressure and stress. This will not help them just in college, but in every aspects of their career and life. I believe that if we shape the minds of our students now, we will shape the minds which will lead our country in the future. By teaching them to cope with stress today, they can be successful leaders tomorrow. I would like to end with a story. A group of friends visited their old university professor. The conversation soon turned to complaints about stress and tension in life. Professor offered them coffee and returned from kitchen with coffee in different kinds of cups. There were glass cups, crystal cups, shining ones, some plain looking, some ordinary one, and some expensive ones. When all of them had a cup in hand, the professor said, "You might have noticed that all the nice looking and experienced cups are taken up, leaving behind the ordinary ones. Every one of you wanted to be best cups. Do you realize that is the source of your stress and tension? What you really need was the coffee, not the cup. But you still went for best cup. If life is coffee, then the jobs, money, status, love, etc. are cups. They are just tools to be hold and contain life. Please don't let the cups make you stressed. Enjoy the coffee. Our life is a matter of choice. Life, live will, and it will never go wrong. With these words, I officially inaugurate this webinar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for blessing us with your presence and inaugurating the webinar. Your words are always a source of inspiration and guidance for all of us. Now, I invite Ms. Itika ma'am to take over the further proceedings.
thank you, Sahil. Hello, everyone. Very good morning to all. I, Ms. Itika Lakkewar, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, St. Francis de Sales College, Nagpur, moving towards our session. Let me introduce our guest speaker, Reverend Father Vijay Joshi. He is a Catholic religious priest belonging to Carmelites of Mary Immaculate, CMI. He is the social worker and has been active in social upliftment of the tribals and aboriginals in the hilly region of Manigra Hills in the state of Maharashtra, India, for last 13 years. He holds master degree in English literature from Osmania University, Hyderabad, and another in social work from Nagpur University. He pursued his doctorate in clinical psychology in the University of Santo Thomas, Manila. He published many research articles which appeared in the journals like Indian Journal of Positive Psychology, Psychological Studies, and Journal of Contemporary Psychotherapy. His research interests include the fields of marriage and family, couples communication, and effective parenting. He is the founder director of Samvaad, a center for dialogue, counseling, and psychotherapy. Now, I request Reverend Father Joshi to deliver his talk. Please, Father.
Thank you very much, Ms. Itika, for that loving welcome that you have accorded to me. Good morning, Principal Sir, Katie Thomas Sir. Good morning, Susan Ma'am, the organizer of this webinar, and good morning, all the faculty members and my dear friends. Yes, we have a wonderful program today, a very fitting program, very suitable to the times that we are going through, and therefore I am really delighted to join all of you this fine morning. A very good morning to all of you and welcome to our webinar today. Okay, I am very much delighted with the kind of title that has been given to the webinar. Give your stress wings and let it fly away. Yeah, this is what we are going to do today. Give your stress wings and let it fly away. Let no stress ever disturb us. Let no stress ever stop us from progressing in our life. A wonderful concept. Yes, today, before entering into my topic, which is, of course, it was announced as from stress to strength. How can we translate the situations of stress into situations of strength so that we may have a greater well being, greater success in our life, and then we may truly enjoy this most precious gift, the gift of life that has been given to all of us. Today, for my talk, I have two different parts. In fact, we are conducting this webinar, or rather, this is what I understand. We are conducting this seminar in the context of September 10. That was yesterday. We know September 10 every year is observed as the International Day of Suicide Prevention Day. Suicide Prevention Day. Every year on September 10th, we observe the day as the day of suicide prevention. Because we know there are so many people, our dear and near ones, sometimes we lose them by way of this menace called suicide. Maybe not being able to cope up with the situations, maybe because they are depressed with so many other things. When people face adversities, this is a famous quotation from someone. When we face stress, when we feel we face adversities, the automatic, the immediate response that comes from the mind of the human person is something of a negative thought. This negativity sometimes lead us to resigning from fighting. We have to fight, we have to resist, we have to just to hold our ground and then take paces further so that we may succeed in life. But unfortunately, sometimes when we are faced with adversities, difficulties, problems, we resign, we give up, we lose our courage, we lose hope, and then we get depressed. Sometimes it reaches to the height where we ponder committing suicide, ending the life. The most precious gift that God the Creator has given to all of us. A gratuitous gift, a free gift that has been given to us. The most precious gift that has been given to us is a gift of life. But unfortunately, there is something called this negativity coming upon the human mind, which deny and dismiss this precious gift that is life. That's why today I said we have two different parts in my talk. In the beginning part, which is a kind of an introductory part, I will be dealing with this particular topic as suicidal tendencies and the kind of effects it has got on the human mind. Okay, so and then in the second part, of course, we will be directly dealing with stress and how we can convert these situations or scenario of stress into a scenario of strength. Okay, so we are going to begin with the first part. Yes, I will be just giving a few key facts about suicide, which we had as a webinar last year on suicide tendencies, as well as we had another webinar on stress management. So it would be kind of a repetition for those people who have already participated in the webinar last year. But still, as a new webinar that we are going to have today, as a procedural, as a procedure, we have to give some key facts about suicide. So I am presenting a few key facts here. See, over 8 lakh people die by suicide annually. This is the statistics that has been given by World Health Organization, WHO. Over 8 lakh people die every year by suicide. And that represents one person from representing one person every 40 seconds. Somewhere in the corners of the world, one person commits suicide within a period of 40 seconds, or rather every 40 seconds time one person ends his or her life. Such alarming is the situation of this suicide. And then WHO says suicide is the second leading cause of death among the age group of 15 to 29, the adolescent age group people. This is the second leading cause of death. For each victim, it is estimated that 20 people will experience an emotional, social, and economic impact. How come? If a person commits suicide, he or she is not all alone in this world. He or she is very much related to a family, to the friends, to the people of the community around, and therefore, every single incident of death by suicide affects the rest of the people, the important others, the significant others of that person, emotionally, socially, and economically. Okay, the global suicide rate is 11.4 per a lakh people. Among 1 lakh people, 11.4% of the people end their life by suicide. And then we have some other factors as well. Depression and other mood-related disorders account for a major number of suicidal attempts and incidents. There's a difference between these two. Suicidal attempts as well as incidents. Not all attempts lead to the particular incident of suicide. But then there are greater number of people who make some attempts at one time or other in their life owing to different situations. And then out of all of them, depression and other mood-related disorders account for a major cases of suicidal tendencies, attempts, and incidents. Self-harm largely occurs among older adolescents. We have seen that between 15 to 29, that age group. Self-harm largely occurs among older adolescents and globally is the second leading cause of death for older adolescent girls. In 2012, some 8-9 years back, 76% of global suicide occurred in low and middle income countries, and 39% of which occurred in Southeast Asia region. So we very much come under that group, and therefore it is a very alarming data that we are getting now. Now, this is a general scenario about suicide. Now we are in a very different situation. Since last 2 years, the world has undergone a great change. And therefore, the figures and facts also have increased very drastically. There has been a sharp increase in self-harm incidents and tendencies since the pandemic COVID-19 hit the Indian society. This is a report by Times of India. Now, according to the National Crime Reports Bureau, NCRB, one suicide occurs every single hour in India, which is quite alarming. It's quite alarming. One suicide every hour occurs. We have yet another study. International Journal of Mental Health System reports 67.7% of increase in the cases of suicides during this pandemic, during the last 16 months. The statistics tell that India lost a total of 10,335 youngsters. See the great number. India lost 10,335 youngsters during the past 16 months of COVID, beginning from March 2020 to July 2021. During this period of 16 months, our nation lost 10,335 youngsters through committing suicide. Suicide is the result of a convergence of risk factors. So there are so many different factors leading to these incidents of suicide, which include genetical, psychological, social, cultural, and of course, stress and trauma. All these contribute to a person being led to the point of committing suicide. So we have to have an all-encompassing strategy, an overall approach, so that we can avert this menace called suicide. We cannot lose life. We cannot lose our dear and near ones. We cannot lose our student community by way of committing suicide. As a responsible citizen of the country, as a responsible member of the society and of the community, each one of us, whether we are a parent or a teacher or a student or anyone for that matter, each one of us is equally responsible to take all the measures so that we can avert this situation. This situation. Now the question is, what are some of the reasons why people end up losing their hope? Why people end up deciding to call it a day? Why people see going further is not possible in life. Therefore, they decide to finish their life. Some of the reasons, especially that have emerged during this pandemic period, are as follows. You know, the student community, especially the youngsters, are full of energy, full of energy. It's very difficult for them to sit quiet for a small while. Even for 5 minutes, it's difficult for the youngsters to sit quiet because they're full of energy, full of enthusiasm, wanting to know more, wanting to do more, wanting to explore more. But unfortunately, because of this pandemic, because of the situations that have come across the world, there is a greater restriction on mobility. People are somehow tied down to their houses, to their families, to their rooms, maybe to their chair and table, to their study table. People are so much restricted from mobility, and so much so that it fills their minds and hearts with frustration, disappointment. We have other uh, combined reason is distancing. Of course, we know this social distancing, but then it is very, very hard for the people to take this fact. It's very difficult for this factor to sink in to the system of the human being, because we are a social being. We are a part of a community, and then therefore we have that need of socialization, right? We need we have that need of socialization. We cannot simply be alone and be happy. It's very difficult for us. We are a social being, a social animal, and therefore we need to have that relationship, that communication, that communion with others. But unfortunately, because of this particular situation, we are again restricted. We are destined to be in the confinement of our small little world, distancing ourselves from our dear and near ones. Go to the school, go to the college, you have your friends, you have your faculty members, your teachers, your professors, and you have that interaction, and then there is fun, there is fight, everything is there. Life is full of energy. But now, because of this particular situation, we have been confined. Yes, we have been so restricted and confined and limited to the four walls of our room. And therefore, again, this is too much for us to digest. And then this again brings a kind of anxiety. These days, this is the most regular case that I am getting. The most frequent case that I am getting is one of anxiety of the student community. Very many students call me by phone, or sometimes they also dare to come to my clinic, which I usually do not encourage much. If it is possible to have a telecommunication or telecounseling, it's fine. If it's some serious cases, I allow them to come in. So this is the case. This is the complaint that they are coming with. What would be our future? How would we go ahead? Exams are not being conducted on time. Results are not being published on time. Placements are not given to the student, the worthy candidates. So the student community is so very anxious, so very anxious and frustrated, so much so that they don't see any hope for them to progress in future. And therefore, sometimes some students with low willpower, contemplate about ending their life. Now, another contributory factor is digital addiction. I call this as digital addiction. We have heard about the drug addiction. We have heard about alcoholic addiction. We have heard about, yes, different types of addictions, drug abuse. But then, along with that, this is a recent development, digital addiction. Of course, we have seen such cases earlier as well, but then it has been augmented during this period of pandemic. People glued to the screens of their computer in online classes and online programs, so much so that they lose touch with the world outside. They lose touch with the nature outside, which gives us the air, which gives us the strength, the power, the energy to go forward. Our minds and bodies do not work properly. And therefore, we lose our focus, we lose our concentration, we lose our orientation. So that's what I am calling as digital addiction. We are addicted to our cell phones and our computers, and then we are an online breed now. Yes, it's a new breed of people, an online breed. So much so that we are depleted of our energies, psychic energies, mental energies, and even physical energies. And then, of course, hours and hours of online programming, online classes, and other things would deprive us of the much needed, sorry, the much needed rest that we need. We will see that later in our sorry stress management part. A person to be healthy and working properly needs minimum of 6 to 7 hours of sleep. Minimum 6 hours of sleep. But even in the late nights, our kids and even adults are online using their cell phones and their gadgets, electronic gadgets and computers. They are always online, never getting enough time to sleep, never getting good sleep, and that would adversely affect our health, our mind, our psychic energies, and then sometimes it would also push people into committing suicide. So these are some of the reasons why someone is contemplating about suicide, or sometimes even succeeding in their attempts. Now, dear friends, we also have to identify or understand how someone is behaving. If we want to avert such situations, if we want to save someone's life, if we want to be with someone so much so that that person can come out of this situation where he or she is contemplating about suicide, we need to know what are the symptoms. There will be some indicators, there will be some symptoms that will be manifested in their behavior. And that if we carefully observe these symptoms, if we carefully follow these uh, behavioral patterns, we would be able to sometimes help someone from not committing suicide. Yeah. So we need to know some of the symptoms. The first and most important symptom that will be manifested by someone who is contemplating suicide or who has lost hope in life, who sees no way to go further, there will be this very, very telling symptom: heightened emotionality. Heightened emotionality. Someone who has been quite normal, quiet up to this time, would be exhibiting heightened emotionality of getting angry immediately, losing their temper immediately, or falling into a kind of total depression, losing all their interest in everything that they have been enjoying doing. For example, someone is very much interested in cricket, but then now he or she doesn't even turn to the cricket ground. People who have been enjoying many things have no more interest left in those things that they were enjoying. So this anger, spurts of anger or grief, feeling depressed, losing interest. So this heightened emotionality is one important symptom. If you notice someone having this kind of a behavior, especially people who are very, very easily losing their temper. Of course, some people have their character patterned in that way. I am not talking about them. But then the people who are rather quiet, people who were rather, kind of easygoing, but then all of a sudden they started bursting out with anger, bursting out with anger, or bursting out with, kind of weeping and crying because of some small incidents. So this is what we call as heightened emotionality. Watch out for such symptoms. The second one is, again, yeah, if you notice people, sometimes they would be searching on the Google ways and means how to end life without pain. People sometimes look on the internet, search for ways and means for painless death. If you happen to notice such things, that is another indicator that yes, something is alarmingly happening or going to happen. And therefore, we need to intervene and interfere. Yes. And then, if you notice some people constantly talking about death, oh, it would be nice to die now. Enough is enough. Some people sometimes casually, we may think that these are very casual talk, but then sometimes people do mean what they say. It's not simply casual for them. They do mean what they say. Therefore, we need to be here very, very careful. When we hear continued talk about death coming from someone, maybe he or she is pondering about death. He or she is really having a problem which he or she is not able to handle, and therefore the easy way out for him or her that he or she may be thinking is of ending the life. So if you happen to see someone talking constantly about death, that's a red flag. That's an indicator that something wrong, something is going on within this person, which is not very welcoming thing. Okay, which is not very good thing, and therefore we have to intervene. Yes, some other symptom is someone who is always trying to get something which is very, very harmful thing like knives or even pistol, things, gun, things that would harm our life or the harm. Yeah. So some people all of a sudden have a kind of especially interest in collecting these things, these materials, looking for knives. Then I found a person a few months back who was actually a nurse working in a hospital but had some issues, and then somehow that person lost her faith in life. And then she was working in the OT operation theater. She took a knife. She was asking this question to the doctor: Doctor, if I cut my vein, will I die? She was she was actually playing with these knives which they are using in the operation theater. And then she was going on asking questions after questions with regard to these knives and all. And then this doctor had a sense, and then he knew that something is wrong with this girl. And then he had a talk with her, and then later on he referred that particular nurse to me as a psychologist. I was working with her, and then came to the fact that yes, she had some serious issues for which she was not able to find a solution. And then she was beginning to, she was not deep into, but then she was beginning to contemplate about ending her life. So we had to be careful when we notice that people are looking for harmful means, weapons and other things. Then that would indicate that something is wrong with them. Okay. Now, with regard to students, this is a very, very interesting thing. With regard to students, if you ask them about their future, just about the programs tomorrow, the students who are contemplating or thinking about committing suicide, the students who are under depression, who have lost their hope in life, would be very, very blank. Very, very blank. I, I happen to have two, three clients of that sort a few months back. You ask them, what are you going to do tomorrow? What is the assignment that has been given to you for tomorrow? These kids would be totally blank because they don't think about the next day, because they are thinking about today and thinking about how they can end their life. Very alarming situation. I don't say all children who are very much blank about their future are contemplating about suicide, but this is one of the indicators, one of the symptoms that we have to be careful about. As against that, if you talk to elders, adults, you will be sometimes seeing, especially the people who are the head of the family and all. If you happen to see all of a sudden a person who is entrusting everything to someone else, settling all their accounts, bank balance, and everything, all of a sudden without any proper reason, there could be a chance that some kind of a thought is going through in their mind about settling, about ending their life. So, two different scenarios. Students who are totally blank about their future, adults who are properly planning everything so that even when they vacate the scenario, things would go on. If you notice these two scenarios, these would give us a kind of alarming indication that something wrong is going on, and therefore we need to intervene. And then coming to the last part of this particular topic about suicide and then the ways and means to remedy them, I would say the first thing is how to what we say remedy this problem. The first thing is, once you come to notice these symptoms that I was mentioning about, once you come to notice these symptoms in someone who is near to you or who is known to you, the first thing that you have to do is to make them stable. Convince them that they are not alone. Call them for a dinner. Talk with them. Allow them to speak out. Allow them to speak out. Allow them to speak. Don't keep them silent. Don't keep them closed in themselves, but rather engage them in talking. Make them stable. Because, there are so many factors that would unsettle our lives. But then, as there's a beautiful statement from Charlie Chaplin, beautiful, beautiful statement coming from him. He says, everything will pass away. Nothing is permanent in this world. Nothing is permanent in this world. Everything will pass away. Even all your troubles and adversities would one day go away. And therefore, do not lose hope. A beautiful sentence coming from Charlie Chaplin, who is known as the greatest, greatest comedian, who made the entire world laugh. This is a beautiful sentence coming from him. Nothing is permanent, everything will pass. Even your adversities, your troubles, and your problems will one day pass. And therefore, do not be upset. This is what he says. So, we have to settle and make the person stable. No matter how severe and serious may be his or her situations, make him understand that everything would go. This also would pass. Nothing is permanent. Therefore, the first step is to make the person stable. For the next step is again inquire. Inquire his or her whereabouts. Check with him or her very often, very often. And then in doing so, the most important thing that we have to bear in mind is never advise. Don't bombard them with so many advices. Everyone is having problems. Why you alone? Don't be so upset. Please, never ever talk in these terms. And I have seen also people making committing these mistakes, especially the religious leaders and teachers and parents. Arey kuch nahi hota. This is nothing. All are having problems. Never ever minimize or dismiss the pain of the person. He or she would feel repugnant. He or she would feel that this person doesn't understand me. But rather, we have to listen to them patiently, allow them to speak, unearth all the painful stories and wounds that they have experienced. Let it come out, flow out. More than an advising person, they would enjoy very much a listening person. Therefore, listen, do not advise. Do not dismiss or minimize their pain. Do not say that, oh, this is nothing, man. Compared to many other people, you are lucky person. Do not ever minimize, but rather empathize with them, feel with them, be with them. Let them feel that yes, someone is there standing with me who understands me, who understands me. Oftentimes, this is a mistake that parents always do. Don't worry, this is nothing. Maybe, of course, the parents will have a greater problems managing the finance, managing the studies of the students, managing household affairs and all. So this small little problem of the child would not be that problematic for the parents. Therefore, they would simply dismiss it. But then, when a child is in such a situation, never ever dismiss or minimize their pain, but rather feel with them, stand with them. But at the same time, as Charlie Chaplin said, everything will pass. Instill hope in them. Instill hope in them. Yes, that's something very important. Instill hope in them. And of course, we as ordinary people would not be able to really find a solution to their problems. But at the same time, we have all the responsibility to initiate problem solving activities, either by referring to someone else who is better equipped with some way or other. We cannot simply leave a person to his or her lot. We have to begin some kind of problem solving activities. So initiate that. So these are the few simple tips that we as common people do to help people come out of their depression and suicidal tendencies. This is how we can prevent suicides taking place in our communities, especially among our family members and dear and near ones. This is a menace that causes great pain and grief to the people at large. And this is a great loss that would come upon the entire human race. And therefore, this can be averted. And then all of us coming together, joining our hands, should fight this menace so that so many valuable, precious lives can be saved. Yes, having said this, let me go to my proper topic, which is stress. From stress to strength. As you have titled the webinar today, give your stress wings and let it fly away. Let me make my presentation. Is my screen visible to you, ma'am Susan?
Yes, Father, it is
Okay.
visible. Father, please share. Means that cup is there. No, please put click that cup.
Yeah, I will do that. I will do that. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So here we are. Give your stress wings and let it fly away. Right? Okay. So I have termed it this way: from stress to strength. Yes, we come across so many situations of stress. There are so many factors that would make us stressful, especially during this period of pandemic, which we have been discussing about. We have seen during the months of April, May, many people dying without getting oxygen. Many people not getting a bed in the hospital. We had become so frantic. Even after death, people were not getting a place, a slot in the burial places. That has been the alarming situation of the the pandemic called the COVID-19 since last 2 years. It's not simply a health issue alone. It's also an issue that would that really touches the entire walk of life, the entire facets of human life, like family life, social life, economic life, even religious outlooks. Because this is one thing that I am challenged with as a priest, as a religious Catholic priest. Sometimes our faithful, our people, our community members ask us this question: why, Father, after all these prayers, all this worship and everything, why still God allows this great mishap falling upon us? So it's also affecting even our religious outlook, our faith. Many people losing their job, their source of income, and then finding it difficult to carry on in their life. So this pandemic has really gripped the world. It has changed the entire human life. And therefore, there are these occasions of stress coming in our lives. But in spite of all that, the question is, how can we translate these situations of stress into a situation of strength? And that is effective ways of stress management. And that would lead us to greater success and well-being in life. Because there are some things which we have to really accept as a reality. Life before 2020 or 2019, the later part of 2019 is different from life after that. We are in a new normal now, right? This is a new normal. Looking into a computer screen, I am talking, and then sitting elsewhere. I don't know from where all people have joined in this webinar. Sitting elsewhere, you are listening to me. It's a new normal that has come upon us. So the point here is, how can we effectively translate situations of stress into strength? Okay, so that would be our focus today. So for that, we need to know exactly what is stress all about. I will be briskly going through that and then come to the last part where we can effectively manage our stress. Fine. So it's a simple question. What is stress? We all hear about stress. We experience stress, but then are we able to really articulate what is stress? That's a first step in managing our stress, because unless we know what we are experiencing, what we are going through, we may not be able to take a way out of that. Okay, so we need to know what is stress. We may call it as, kind of pressure. I am under tremendous pressure. Sometimes we get to hear from students as teachers, or even from our friends, I am under tremendous pressure. I do not know what to do and what not. Sometimes I feel so down. Right? I feel so down. No energy, no enthusiasm. The previous night I had a party, we were all very happy, but in the morning I got up and then naturally that should fill us with new energy. Yeah, when we begin a new day, we are full of new enthusiasm and energy. That is the usual case. But then sometimes we feel that, अरे आज कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है. No mood for anything at all. I feel like sleep a little more. So sometimes we feel being so down. Sometimes, as I told you, that heightened emotionality, rage and anger, even for small little things, anxiety, nervousness, and then hopelessness. So we may term all this, this stress as all this that we experience. Okay, now what is stress all about? In very subtle, simple manner. Stress is a response. This is what psychologists would say, or sociologists would say. Stress is a response. It's a person's physical and emotional response to a change. See, things are going on changing all around us. As I told you, our life before 2019 is not the same as after 2019 or in the 2020 and 2021. Things are drastically changing. And then stress is a kind of situation in response to the kind of change that is surrounding us. It's a physical and emotional response of a person to a situation of change. We will see further what is that. Stress is your mind's and body's response or reaction to a real or an imagined threat, an event or a change. Yeah, a further explanation of that is same. You visualize something which is threatful to you, threatening to you, which you think that you are not able to cope with, that you are not able to manage with, and then that fills you with stress. Your mind and body becomes rigid. You become frightful. You become anxious. The threat, event, or change are commonly called as stress, and so therefore these stimuli are called stresses. Stresses can be internal. So now we are again qualifying them. So this threat, this event, or the change that is taking place around would cause you stress. And they are called stresses. Now, these stresses need not be always outside. That's what we are going to see. These stresses, those stresses that are causing stress, need not always be outside, external. It can be both in external as well as internal. And oftentimes, my dear friends, remember, take my word, oftentimes stress is the outcome of our internal stresses, like our erroneous thoughts, our wrong beliefs, our negative attitudes would push us into stress rather than external. Of course, external, there are, as we are experiencing now, the loss of life, the loss of a job, the loss of someone who is very near to us, the distancing factors, the loneliness that we are experiencing on account of this lockdown. All these are external. A tragedy that taking place, a change of your place or your job, or a change of your portfolio. Even small little things can sometimes untilt your balance. Okay, so these stresses are both internal and external. It requires a physical, mental, or emotional adjustment or response. So this is what I said. This is a response. If you can give a adjusted, balanced response, you can still hold your ground. But then if your response is not balanced, if you are not able to emotionally and mentally adjust with the situations, and then you are pushed into stress. Okay, we will just pass. Okay, now there are these are some of the situations of change that we were mentioning a while ago. Death of the spouse or a family member or a near relative or friend can cause overwhelming situations and stress. Injury or illness of any family member, separation or divorce from partner, pregnancy or birth of a new baby, children's behavior or disobedience, children's educational performances, not sufficient money to raise your standard of living, loss of money in burglary, pickpocketed or in share market. So all these situations can cause great threat to your mental peace, and then that would push you into kind of overwhelming situations and then ultimately to stress. Now, with regard to students, it is another factor. Overwhelming demand at studies and workplace, pressure to perform or to excel, this peer group influence. A friend of mine excelled in the exam and then I got a very low score, and that would put a pressure on me if I am really intending to become a good student. But then there are students who do not even care about. That is a different matter. But then for normal students, this is a situation of pressure. This is a situation of stress. And now unrealistic expectations. My IQ, I know my IQ is rather low, but then if I want to perform like Albert Einstein, not possible. My physical strength is very low, but then if I want to play like Sachin Tendulkar, no, not possible. So we should know where we belong. We should know where do we stand. If we are entertaining unrealistic expectations, that would naturally make us upset and disappointed when we are not able to meet those expectations. It could be also from the part of our dear and near ones. Our parents and our relatives would also place this heavy load of expectation on us, and then and when we are not able to cope with that, when we are not able to measure up to those expectations, naturally we will be filled with frustration. Insistence on success, another factor. There are some parents who never want their children to be the second in the class. There is a greater success of failure than the success of success. This is a quotation from a great saint. We have to sometimes also learn how to take failures in our lives. But then some people think that once they have experienced failure, everything is lost for them. Some people are there, they have to always succeed. Success is the mark of life. That's what they equate with. And therefore, this over insistence on this success would fill us with frustration and stress. And therefore, in answer to that, we have this beautiful quotation from APJ Abdul Kalam. Not successful people, but faithful people do make a difference. We don't need to be successful all through. We need to be faithful rather. This is one thing that I ought to very much am convinced about, and then I often tell my people who come to my clinic for counseling. Don't be too much worried about success. What we need to be worried about is, am I really faithful in my attempts? Am I doing justice to my own self? Am I doing justice to situations that have been given to me? Enough. The result is not in your hands. Whether have you made your proper preparations for this webinar? whether have you prepared properly for the exam. That's enough. That is faithfulness. Sometimes result would be to your liking, sometimes the result would not be to your liking, would be against your expectations. But don't pin your hopes on success alone. Be faithful rather than being successful always. So, in short, stress is nothing but the pressure that you experience, which is beyond your resourcefulness or your capacity to deal with. Stress occurs when the pressure is greater than the resources. Okay, for lack of time, we would not go in detail about this, but then, yes, I will just mention a few things. Stress affects us in many ways. It affects our behavior. This is, see, you can very clearly see that picture there. A couple having a terrible fight, perhaps a terrible argument. The lady is going on lagging upon the husband, and then he is actually placing his both hands on his ears, unable to hear the shouting of the wife. So stress. When you are in stress, what happens is that it affects our behavior and our interactions, our relationships. It affects our mind and thought pattern and our feeling. It affects our body. It gives rise to so many physical illness and ailments. Subsequently, it also affects our performance. Whether you are employed in a factory or in an office, whether you are a student, whether you are a teacher, it affects your performances. Okay, we will just pass through all this. Now, yeah, this is one thing that I would really stress upon. There are two different kinds of stress. Not all stress are bad. Don't think that all stressful situations are very bad. For example, I'll tell you, you are going through a road, you are walking rather in a garden, perhaps in the Seminary Hills. You visit the grotto there, and then after having maybe a rosary or a prayer, you are coming down the lanes, and then all of a sudden a snake comes in front of you. It's a stressful situation, a frightening situation. You are stressed. What will you do? You will run away. You will run away for safety. But then if you are not stressed, if you are not frightened, if you don't care, and then if you walk further, there is all likelihood that the snake may bite you, and then you may get poisoned, and then you may lose your life. So stressful situations sometimes are good. Here is the importance of my title: from stress to strength. Certain degree of stress is good, and especially for the student community. Exam is there are volumes of things for you to learn, and then if you are not stressed by the volume of work that you are having at hand, you will not burn your midnight oil, you will not sit for study, and then there is all chances for you to fail in the exam. And therefore this stress would compel you, or rather impel you, to work more hours, to put in more hours of study, so much so that you can learn and prepare properly for the exams. So we have these two different types of stress, and then we call that one is eustress and the other one is distress, or rather positive stress and negative stress. Yes, the eustress is moderate or normal psychological stress, is interpreted as being beneficial for the experiencer. Yeah, as I told you, this is beneficial. See, the picture is here. You put your all energy, all focus into preparing the exam so that you will fare in the exam and then you will obtain a degree. You prepare very clearly, very strenuously, you prepare for an event that is going to take place, and then you win a game, you win a trophy or a medal. You want to play a music, and then there is a musical event, and then you take practice, you learn a musical instrument, you repeatedly practice the songs, and then you perform well in the orchestra. So all these are positive stress pushing the person to work harder so that he or she may achieve greater success. He or she may perform in a better manner and then proceed in life, having a greater well being and joy in life. So that is called positive stress. Stress can have a positive effect, spurring motivation and awareness, providing the stimulation to cope with the challenging situations. Stress also provides the sense of urgency and alertness. Okay, ma'am Susan called me 2 weeks back, asked me whether I can give a talk in the webinar. I said, okay, fine. Those first 10 days, I did not have any sense of urgency. But then, as the days approached, yesterday, day for yesterday, 2 days back, yes, I had a sense of urgency. Now the time is coming, the day is approaching, I had to prepare so much so that I may do justice to the duty that has been given to me. I may do justice to the people who are participating in this program today. So I cannot simply idle away my time anymore. So that is the positive effect of stress, bringing a kind of sense of urgency and alertness that is needed for survival as well as for better performance and also to confront the threatening situations. Now, my dear friends, this very situation of the pandemic, COVID 19, has also brought so many good learnings to us. We were not very much careful about or aware about the need for hygiene. Although our government proclaimed this kind of, Swachh Bharat a few years back, how much Swachh is our Bharat, we know. You go to the streets, you go to the lanes, you go to the villages, we have still, people playing coco on the roadsides. But now this pandemic has alerted us. So there are difficult situations, but then even in those difficult situations, can we find something positive? And then can we convert those things into beneficial things? Now I will tell you my own example. I am very much allergic to dust. Every other week, I used to have this, kind of cough and cold and fever and other things. But then take my word for this, my dear friends. Since last 2 years, I don't remember ever having a fever, headache, and then a cough and cold, because we always use this mask, face mask, and we sanitize our hands, and therefore all these allergic things are kept away from me, and so much so that there are so many health benefits that I'm enjoying now. So how can we change our attitude? This is most important thing. Oh, sorry. So this slide will show us the example of some of the great personalities who, being under stress, still reaped richly in their life. APJ Abdul Kalam, the rocket man, who had his primary education in the light of a small kerosene lamp. Imagine, in a small little house somewhere in Rameshwaram, in the southern part of Tamil Nadu, he did not even have electricity connection in his house. He was having his studies at night in the light of a small little kerosene lamp. That man went to become the rocket man of the world. I would say of the world itself, such a great personality. Sachin Tendulkar, at the young age of 16, he stormed into the Indian team. That did not simply happen. When the children of his age were sleeping, in Marathi it is a sakar job. Sakar job. The early hours of sleep is called sakar job. So nice to sleep in the early hours. When all other children were enjoying this soccer job, this boy, Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar, was practicing in the Wankhede Stadium in the wee hours of the day. And then he went on to become the god of cricket. And then we have this beautiful example of Albert Einstein. He was a school dropout. He was a school dropout, but then he became one of the greatest scientists the world has ever seen. So this is how people have converted the stressful situations into a situations of strength. Now we have the second type of stress, which is as I mentioned a while ago, distress or overstress or stress. We have different names for this, and I'm not going to explain all these things which we are always experiencing and we know about it. What now we will see is how to tackle, how to convert these stressful situations into situations of strength, effective ways of managing stressful situations. I have 10 different points, but then I will briskly go through them and then finish it within maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Yes, the first step in managing our stress and converting them into strength, or rather, as you have coined the title of the webinar as giving wings to them and allowing them to fly away from our lives, is first to identify the source of stress. What causes me the stress? Not all people will be affected in the same way because of a particular situation. There's a particular situation, a particular change that is taking place in a locality or in a community. But not all the members of that locality or the community would be equally affected by that. Some people will have a particular situation where he or she is not able to manage, but the same situation someone else will be able to manage. So the source of stress is different from every single person. Therefore, we need to identify what causes me stress. Talking to a particular person who does not go well with me, or our attitudes and our approach, our understanding about life, everything is different. If I happen to talk with him or her, there is a natural possibility that we may get into a fight, and that would lead us both to situations of stress. If I recognize, if I identify such thing, we have to have a kind of sensible way of dealing with that. Understand that, and if you are not able to overcome that situation, try to at least avoid such situations, so much so that there will not be any fight between you two, and then that would not lead you to stressful situations. So identify the source of stress. That is the first thing. And in doing that, sometimes you reframe things. The main problem with us is that we interpret situations in a negative manner. A friend of mine came to me. I was not able to greet him, and then he interpreted as if I am inimical to him, and then he had problem. Why can't he or why can't I reframe this same situation, reinterpret the same situation, thinking that giving the grace of inner doubt, the favor of doubt? Why can't I think that, oh, my friend did not greet me? Maybe because he is seriously thinking about something which is very important for him, so much so that he was not able to notice me coming. So why can't we reframe and reinterpret the situations? If we can cultivate this habit of reframing and reinterpreting, that would take away a lot of stressful situations from our life, and then we may grow stronger in our mental power, psychic energy. And for that, we need to, sometimes this is a kind of homework that I give to my clients. Start a stress journal. Write down your thoughts. We call that as thought diary. What you feel now, write down. And after a while, maybe towards the end of the day, go back to what you have written, read, and then actually, argue with yourself. Was I correct when I interpreted the situation this way? Was it needed for me, necessary for me to look at this thing from this angle, or were there any other possibilities? So this is the benefit of maintaining a stress journal or a thought diary. Okay. Now get organized. This is another situation, because poor organization would really make you panicking. All of us have got this 24 hours. The Prime Minister has got 24 hours. The Gram Panchayat President has got 24 hours. The principal of the college has 24 hours. The student in the first standard also has 24 hours. But then different people use their time in a different way. Some are so productive, so engaging, so contributing, but then some are simply wasting their time, wasting their opportunities, and sometimes even causing difficulties for others. People are so disorganized. One day you get up at 6 o'clock, the next day you may be getting up at 10 o'clock, the following day you may get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So, if your life is disorganized, then naturally you'll be failing in meeting your duties or responsibilities, and then that would make you panicking, and that would eat up your mental energy, your psychic energy, and therefore being organized is very, very necessary for someone, for us to keep away this problem of stressful situations in life. Practice these three A's. I mentioned this in the first step. Avoid, adapt, accept. If it is possible for you to avoid certain situations that you would think, you are thinking that that would cause some stress to you, then better to avoid that. But then, of course, if your mother or if your life partner is causing stress, you are not able to avoid that person or that situation, then try to adapt to the situation. Now, pandemic, COVID-19, it's not in our hands. The entire world population is struggling and then trying the best, but still, this pandemic is not curbed, it's not still controlled. Even people with two vaccines are losing their lives. I mean, very rarely, of course, but then even such cases are happening. So we are not able to adopt and avoid, and then we have to adapt. We have to get new habits, so much so that we will be better off in adjusting with the situations. We have to live with this pandemic. There is no escape, and therefore better adapt and then accept the reality. Accept the reality. Do not panic. Do not lose hope. Accept the reality. Get moving. Yes. Do not get stuck. Get moving. Practice. Go for some exercises. Listen to some music. Engage in something which would detract you from all these painful thoughts and experiences. So we have to get moving. Engage in some kind of gardening, flower garden or vegetable gardens. Go for a walk, talk with your friends, or either over phone or keeping sufficient distance, mingle with people, get engaged with people. So we have to keep moving. Okay. Ventilate. Yeah, the same thing. The continuation of the same thing. Ventilate. Ventilate. Let all the pains and the fears that are there in your mind go out of you. Ventilate it. Talk with your friends. Get connected. Do not seclude yourself, or do not allow anyone in your care to be secluded, to be lonely, to be confined in his or her world alone, but rather get connected, which is very important. Yes, this we have seen that get organized. It goes along with that. Manage your time. Make a list of the must to do things, the things that are important. Make a list of it. We call that prioritizing. Do the most important thing the first. Give more time, the priority, the preference to the most important thing. That way, make a list of things to do things. Okay, so that way, manage your time in a better manner, and then that would keep you balanced. That will keep you peaceful. That would not allow stress to govern you, but rather these situations. There may be so many responsibilities, so many works that have been given to you, but that if you have this tact of managing your time, no hectic, voluminous work would not weigh you down, but rather you will be able to manage all of them and then convert these stressful situations into a situation of strength and better well-being. Okay, same thing. Okay, humor and laughter. It has got a great, great healing power in our lives. And therefore, engage in humor. Laugh with our friends. Crack jokes. Enjoy jokes. Watch some comedy movies. It relieves our muscular tensions. It improves our breathing. It pumps endorphins into our bloodstreams, and then it increases our immunity power. So don't ever remain gloomy. Don't allow anyone around you to be gloomy. Engage in joyful laughter and humor. That would be very, very beneficial and helpful for us to compete with the demanding situations around us. Then food, having good food, not simply food, but healthy lifestyle. There are so many things like a diet, that is food, avoiding addictive substances like smoking and alcohol, having enough hours of sleep, enough leisure and relaxation, and then also altruism. I will come to that. Altruism. Don't just be confined for yourself. Go out and reach out to other people. Look for other people's betterment, well-being. Contribute towards the well-being of other people, and then that would fill your mind with a satisfaction. हाँ मैंने कुछ किया, मैंने कुछ अच्छा कार्य किया. That's called altruism. Unselfish regarding the welfare of others. Believe in a meaningful cause. Yes, if someone is standing for a cause, a public cause, let me also contribute my little might towards that. So stand for common cause, which is beneficial for the entire community. Don't just be confined to your own selfish motives. And that would invite you to engage in mutual cooperations. And this activates the brain's reward center. When we do this kind of a thing, naturally the brain will have positive vibes. This will fill us with satisfaction. Yes, I have done something worthwhile. Because of my sacrifice, because of my contribution, someone has benefited really in life. Someone has come out of a difficult situations, and that would fill our brain with positive vibes, and that would keep us energetic and happy all the more. Prayer and spirituality. Yes, the time of despair, the time of hopelessness, we have to turn to the higher power, which we call as God, or the supernature, or the creator God. Yes, associated with the psychological and physical well-being, we also need prayer and spirituality. It guards us against despair. It provides us support, and it also gives us a positive hope so that we can go further. Okay, and the last tip is we or sometimes everything would not be within our reach. Everything would not be manageable by all by ourselves. In such situations, we have to seek professional help. There are, by God's grace, there are so many people around us, like elders, teachers, doctors, counselors. Yes, we sometimes when things are not within our capacity to manage, we need to seek professional help and get healed. There is a taboo, there is a social taboo on the in the mind on the minds of the people. When you have a stomach ache, there is no problem for you to go to a physician, get a tablet, and then get cured. But then when you are under depression, when you are under stress, you would not easily or willingly go to a psychologist or psychiatrist because of this stigma, social stigma. अरे वो पागल है, उसके something is going on with within his family. So we think that the community, the society members, the people outside would think ill of us. They would brand us, and because of this social stigma, we are afraid. We are hesitant to approach psychologists and the psychotherapists. But then, as you go to a medical professional, a medical practitioner, a physician for your physical ailments, when your mind is sick, when your mind is not fully healthy, when your mind is having some problem. Yes, I'm coming to the end. we need to approach professionals who can help us out and then make us full and whole. So, this is the last but very important tip in managing our stress and then converting stress into a point of strength. With that, dear friends, I come to the end. Thank you very much for your patient listening. If you have any questions, any queries, please ask me, and then I would try to give you answers uh, to your expectations if possible. I will try my best.
Yeah, thank you very much, Father, for your insightful and impactful lecture on stress to strength. We are sure that all participants have benefited a lot. This benefit has encouraged them to know more, and they have posted some important questions on Google Meet and YouTube. With your permission, I would like to ask you those questions on behalf of our audience. Shall I, sir? Hello. Yeah, so, Father, first question is,
Yeah,
I am very short tempered. How to overcome it?
yeah, very short. I mean, yeah, whoever has asked that. The question is, someone is very short tempered. How to overcome that? If you have gone through YouTube motivational speeches and all, I have come across one beautiful video clip by Malleshwari. No, not Malleshwari, Maheshwari, someone from Rajasthan. He is a motivational speaker, and he compares anger as a dance. For example, you know dancing, right? Just imagine that you know dancing. Do you dance all through the whole day? You don't, right? When there's an occasion, when there is a need, when there's an occasion, you dance, right? And then you have the intellect, you have that moolah to differentiate the situations where you are supposed to dance and where you are supposed to keep quiet, right? But then compare this to your natural instincts. You need to go to the washroom. You said, no, I will not dance now. I will not go to the washroom. Let me go to the washroom maybe in the afternoon. Can you hold that? No. This is a natural need that the nature has placed upon you. You have to comply. But then a dance is totally within your capacity to control or to, I mean, uh, you can do it whenever you want. Now, this Maheshwari is comparing this to anger. Okay, when are you angry at someone? When you see that the person would not perhaps retaliate or retort or react back to you. Now, let me ask this simple question. Sahil, no? You are a student, right? Sahil.
Yes, Father.
Yeah, there is a situation where some of your friends made fun of you. Naturally, you get angry and then you express because chalta hai, you can afford because your friend is almost equal to you. Therefore, you can afford to get angry. But then imagine a faculty member or perhaps our principal sahib said something to you which is not to your liking, and then you feel that remorse within. Will you get angry with him? You may feel it within, but then you will not express. So you know where to express and where to control, right? So the question is, don't please don't say that I am very easily losing my temper. No, we have been given this intellect using which we can control all our emotions. In a place of funeral where all the people are really grieving, sad, even if you remember a joke from Charlie Chaplin, will you laugh? No, that doesn't suit the occasion. Also, it's more of a cognition, it's a more of an intellectual process. If you become aware more and more of your emotions, you will be certainly able to manage your emotions. But unfortunately, we don't take responsibility for our emotions. We simply blurt it out. We simply let it out. Then naturally it will do the harm. Okay. Yeah. Any other
Okay.
questions?
Yeah. So next question is: sometimes stress is within subconscious. We don't even aware of it, though it is very much there. How to overcome it?
Yes, this is exactly my first point is identify your stress. And then there are as I was mentioning, there are some symptoms. If you are stressful, maybe as you said, cognitively you may not be aware, but then it has got its aftermath in your body, in your breathing, in your relationships. Yeah, so there are symptoms looking to which you will be able to know whether you or someone else is in stress. The symptoms that are shown in your body, symptoms that are shown or manifested through your behavior and performance, symptoms that are manifested in your relationships and communications. So, looking into those symptoms, you will be able to know whether you are stressful or not. And then once you are when you come to know that you are stressful, know what is the matter that causes you to be stressful. Identify the sources of that, and then you'll be able to manage. Okay? Yeah.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much, Father, for clearing our doubts. The effects and statistics you shared about suicide has helped us to comprehend the alarming magnitude of situation.
Yeah.
After knowing the symptoms of suicidal tendency through your talk, we'll keep close eye on our loved ones and provide proper help to them and contribute to reduce suicide at individual level. Now that our participants have become aware about causes of stress, how to identify it and tackle it, I'm sure that they will convert their stress to strength more effectively. We are indeed grateful for your esteemed presence, for giving us your valuable knowledge and time, and we look forward to your guidance in our future endeavors also. Thank you very much, Father.
Okay.
In
Thank
the
you.
case for counseling, viewers can contact Father Joshi. His mobile number and email address is written in description box in YouTube and chat box in Google Meet. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Susan John Ma'am on this forum. Dr. Susan John is Associate Professor of Physics in St. Francis Research College, Nagpur. Ma'am has won many awards for scoring highest marks in RTM Nagpur University in MSc Physics. Ma'am has completed PhD from RRSC, ISRO Nagpur. She has also presented and published many papers in the field of physics and science religion dialogue. She has organized many national level conferences in the field of science religion interfacing in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Science and Religion, Delhi. She is also author of two books. Ma'am, now I invite you to deliver your talk on topic overcome stress and lead a happy and prosperous life and give concluding remarks.
Thank you. Can you share my PPT? Hello, Itika. Hello. I will not take much of your time. I will just conclude everything with few points I want to share with you. Uh, just a repetition somewhere you will find. My topic is overcome the stress and lead happy and prosperous life. Stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. It can come from any event or thought that make you feel frustrated, angry or nervous. During the stress, our body reacts to it by releasing hormones. These hormones make our brain more alert and can help to handle the situation. By this way, body protects itself. This is the positive effect of stress. When a person has long term, that is chronic stress, can lead to emotional and mental symptoms like anxiety or irritability, depression, sadness, etc. Here, I would like to give some tips to lead happy and prosperous life. Avoid sources that drain our energy. First is in that avoid negative people and their feedbacks. Negative people always discourages others and will try to drag others down. These people always try to find errors in others' doing. If we spend enough time around with these people and listen to them long enough, their negativity starts impacting our thinking, which will prove to be most dangerous. These people behave as energy drainer. The only remedy for this problem is to avoid them fully as soon one realizes that someone is negative. According to Robert Dew, don't let negative and toxic people rent space in your head. Raise the rent and kick them out. Try to spend quality time with positive people as they are always enthusiastic, motivate others, complains less, and believes in hard work. By this, we can attract positivity. Here, positivity refers to positive energy and also called as the positive energy, also called as aura, which is around every person. The aura of good people inspires others and act with full of energy, while negative energy reduces this aura. Second point, sometimes social media also triggers stress. As Father already told about digital addiction, dear participants, I want to ask you how many times you check your mobile, and please make a note of that and try to get outside of this addiction. This is my personal suggestion to you all. Now, moving towards my point, one of the business tactics is that visual impacts the customer's behavior. Every day, every hour, thousands of pics have been uploaded and on the various social media sites. Sometimes, knowingly or unknowingly, we become buyers of stress, anxiety, etc. by watching those pics of others excelling in their work, married life, etc. As we are human and we immediately start comparing our life with them and land into the world of depression. Remember, friends, we should not compare ourselves with others because no one is perfect. According to an anonymous author, don't compare your life to others. There is no comparison between sun and the moon. They shine when it's their time. Dear participants, we all are unique and all are blessed in one way or the other. Rather than comparing to others' life, we should focus on our own life. Or if you really want to compare, then compare yourself with you. Let us consider some examples to make this point more clear. Suppose one student had scored 70% of marks in class 10th. Then he or she should try to score 80% or more in the next upcoming exam. Now we will consider another example of a researcher who published one research paper last year, and this year he or she should try to do more work in the respective field and try to publish research findings in new high quality journals such as Web of Science journals with high impact factor. Here, the point compare yourself with you applies to all sectors of life, which includes business, sports, etc. By doing this, you will start focusing more on your life and your life will be more happier. Always remember, I should be more nicer to myself than I was yesterday. Dear participants, stress and anxiety are common experiences for most of the people, and with the onset of the pandemic COVID 19, it triggered a lot. Many are landed into the world of sadness. Here, I would like to give one small data. According to IndiaToday.in news, more than 1,000 children have lost both their parents during the COVID 19 pandemic in India. So, we should try to be positive in life. We should not allow negativity to overpower us. It is always better to share the problem with your near ones. Conclusions. I would like to say, give helping hands. When somebody shares, give a helping hand. When someone shares their deep pain, rather than turning away from them or giving any wrong suggestions, only say, I understand your problem and I am with you. These positive words really bring a big change in one's life. If really we want to give stress wings, then we should try to understand strengths and weakness in one's own life in terms of wealth and money satisfaction, career opportunity, prosperity, mental strength, physical health, family and relationship fulfillments, and spiritual wellness too. When we identify our strengths and weakness, then only we can lead a happy and prosperous life. According to anonymous author, one should remember when things are bad, remember it won't always be this way. Take one day at a time. When things are good, remember it won't always be this way. So enjoy every great moment. I will end my talk with a famous quote from Bible, as Father already took the example of Charlie Chaplin. And this too shall pass. Everything is temporary. Nothing is permanent. Even this pandemic will not last for long. Always be positive in life and also encourage others to do so. Let together ignite joy and hope. Be a blessing. Help others. Let you will be a miracle to others. Thank you. Now we are moving towards the final vote of thanks. On behalf of SFS College, I extend a very heartfelt gratitude to Father Joshi, who have agreed our webinar on Give Your Stress Wings and Let It Fly Away, and delivered his talk on stress to strength, and sharing with us vast knowledge on how to tackle the negativity. Counseling can also really play a very big role if approached on time, and meaning of success, and many more remedies he also suggested to avoid negativity. Thank you, Father. Since my sincere thanks to Father Patrick Limos, the administrator of our college, for his constant encouragement. I also thank our principal, Dr. Katie Thomas, for his valuable suggestion and support. Thank you, sir. I would like to express wholehearted thanks to Miss Itika Lakevar, Surbi, Shweta, Reshma, Rashmi for providing all technical support. I would also like to thank my students Sahil Meshram and Mrunal Kannambar, who worked very hard to make this event successful. Thank you, one and all, and we will meet again. Till then, see you.